Welcome to the Hidden Palace with Skyblaze.
Good morning, afternoon, evening, or night, wherever you are in the world. I am sadly not Skyblaze, I am Greyfore, and as you all know, you are here for the Hidden Palace on Radio Sega. Sadly, unfortunately, Skyblaze is unable to join us today. Unfortunately, the heat has caused them to melt. So as a result, they are currently sitting in the fridge trying to solidify while I do the show instead. So let us proceed and see how far we go. And I realise there's a few sweeper tracks in here that have not been added. Oh dear, give me a second. This is just going to repeat the... Anyway, so... a few months ago, me and Skyblaze ended up watching a video which went into detailing the discovery of Xenosaga Pied Piper. And actually, I'm just going to see if I can try and move this up a bit. There we go, let's move on to that one. Yeah, there we go. It's going to loop at this point, apologies for this bit. So, a few months ago, as mentioned, me and Skyblaze were watching a video where we were going through the discovery, or rediscovery, of Xenosaga Pied Piper, which, for those of you who don't know, is a Japan-only mobile game, which was thought to have been considered lost media. Main reason being is that the mobiles in question were, you know, like early mid-2000s mobile phones, which, you know, once everyone upgrades, they get rid of it. They don't really think to save what's on them to be used by, you know, other people or preserved, as is kind of more understandable these days to be something that you would do. So obviously, quick hi to Ravsig and Purvis in the chat. I hope, as well as Larry, I see just mentioned this as well. Is that mobile rather than mobile, as in like Radmobile? I was like, God, I already hope there's only one more day of this heat. So yeah, those of you listening at a later date, it is what is my phone telling me? My phone cannot tell me because it's currently on fire. So I'm deeming it to be somewhere in the 30s. At least it had been quite high early this week. But yeah, it is ridiculously hot so far. But less babbling on with me. So, as a result of watching this video, discovering Xenosaga Pied Piper, we found, off the back of it, the site that helped to locate, compile, and otherwise archive it. A Wikipedia called Keitai, or Keitai Wiki as I'm going to dub it. This site hosts information on so many mobile-only or sort of tiny portable, like PDA-like device games and accessories. So I highly recommend having a look when you get the chance, because you might find details of a game series that you might miss. But as you might expect, there are a plethora, if you will, of Sega titles, some of which we are going to be having a look at. But because a lot of the games themselves, the premise on them is going to be fairly basic, and don't expect, you know, like the levels of Nier Automata in a mobile game. That's ludicrous. So you'll find we'll be covering quite a number of titles in this particular episode. The first of which is obviously starting with everyone's favourite blue blur, Sonic. Who else would we start with? So, having a look on the Keitai Wiki, there are just a little under 40 Sonic-themed games on mobile, which they've managed to preserve, which includes ports of Sonic's 1 and 2, though the majority of these games are generally like card or board game sort of related, things like poker, backgammon, and reversey. But then there are some more unique games, such as Shadow Shoot. Obviously, it's expected, it's Shadow and shooting involved, but not quite how you think. So, it is an auto side-scroller that has you controlling Shadow, as you might gather from the name, as he chases down Dr. Eggman to recover the various Chaos Emeralds. As you progress through each of these stages, you'll have various obstacles that you'll need to avoid and enemies to destroy, either by obviously moving to an open spot on the level, or by, as you might guess, shooting. At the end of each level, you'll then have the obligatory boss, which you'll then obviously need to defeat to win and collect the emerald. Each level does have a time limit though, so to give you the best chance of beating it, you'll want to make sure you can beat the boss in as quick a time as possible, or beat the level as quick a time as possible to get to the boss, so you've got enough time to take them down. So, enough rambling with me. We're going to go into some music at this point. So for our first part, we are going to have from Shadow Shoot. We've managed to track down a few songs from this one. It's Zones 1 to 4 for Diamond Highway. So, I'll leave you with that, and we'll catch you in the next segment. And we are back. So that was Shadow the Hedgehog Final Halt, and just before that we had Shadow Shoot, Zones 1 to 4 for Diamond Highway. So, Shadow's had his game, but of course there's going to be a Sonic one, isn't there? Yes, so Sonic has a kind of similar game. This one is called Sonic no Jigen Resha. I have no idea if I pronounced that right. Or Sonic Time Train. Sadly there is no time travel involved, or, you know, for those of you who've played through Sonic 06 are grateful there's no time travel involved. Here we actually get a bit more story in a sense. So Dr. Eggman has, as you might expect, kidnapped a load of animals, and they're there to try and help him rebuild Eggman Land. And Sonic needs to save them. And to stop them, he needs to reach the front of the Eggliner train, which is transporting all of these poor, defenseless, kidnapped animals. However, the train platform itself that Sonic is running alongside the train of is littered with enemies and obstacles, and as each train carriage is locked off from each other, Sonic has to board the train as close to the front as possible before the train itself departs. So, the quicker we can get to the front, the quicker we can save the animals. As each train departs, he can hopefully hop on in time, and then it will stop at the next station. Each zone will have a number of stations in which you can then get off and then try and proceed further and further to the front of the train, hopefully giving you additional chances to get closer to the front. As you might expect, the further into the game itself, the far more difficult these zones will get, with far more obstacles, far more enemies, and even a few little speed pads in here now and again to sort of trip you up. So, just seeing what's going on in the chat. So apparently we're all sharing a brain cell, at least in regards to the Sonic, the Shadow Shoot game sounding like having sky-high elements to it at points. I suspect this is part of the reason why Skyblaze particularly chose that track. And a very good point by Skyblaze there. So anybody on antidepressants or SSRI type ones as well, please make sure you stay cool and hydrated, as heat can affect you more as a result from this, which is unfortunately what's happened with them. And a nice reminder from Malaria there, so anybody that is in the UK and currently suffering from the joyous weather we are at the moment, make sure to shut your blinds and curtains in the day, just, you know, to hopefully reflect heat outwards and keep what cool air you've got indoors. We've got, let's see what else we've got on here. Yeah, Skyblaze mentioning that we do have a track coming up shortly, which does have a bit of a time travel element going on with it. You'll find out soon enough. But I suppose we should lead forward with that. So, up next, we are going to have Sonic Jump I-Mode with Green Hill Zone, as requested by Electric Boogaloo. And I will see you in the next part, where we'll start talking about another classic Sega game. See you in a bit.
listening to The Hidden Palace with the wonderful Skyblaze only on Radio Sega. Well, I guess if you're here, it's not that well hidden, is it?
And I am back. So, we had there just then the one that Skyblaze had alluded to, Sonic CD Quartz Quadrant Zone, the past. And just before that, which Popularity had revealed to the crowd in the Discord chat, we had Sonic Runners End of Summer, which Pocketed Larry did in fact request. And at the very start of all that, we had Sonic Jump I-Mode, Green Hill Zone, requested by Electric Boogaloo. So it was kind of fun watching Anthony and Gamer and Ravseeg sort of try and work out what the song was. I kind of agree. We'd like sort of working out, because was it like Reach for the Stars or something very modern and similar to it in the way it sounded, and kind of like an Sonic Unleashed Days stage. I could definitely hear bits of that. So yeah, I can see where you guys were going with that. Also, if you're hearing any additional wind blowing at this point in the background, I've got one of those sort of neck fan arrangement things, the one that's got like two fans on either side, you can position how you want. Got one of those currently to try and keep me cool while I'm sat back here. Yeah, so the current setup, unfortunately, is very warm back here. So let's move on, shall we? So, as mentioned, we have another classic game coming up. This one is Bare Knuckle, or, for those of you who are used to it in the UK, US, and the rest of Europe, Streets of Rage. So this mobile version is, for more or less actually, a fairly competent port of sorts. I say of sorts. It's a little cut down from the original, so we're looking at the first game here. But there are a number of things that do make this kind of more of a unique version. So this one. So, firstly, is the game has a limit in terms of the characters available to you. Sadly, you are only able to play as either Axel or Blaze, so unfortunately any Adam stands out there, I'm terribly sorry. However, he will turn up, I will mention that soon. Next is the visuals for the game itself. So it does draw a lot of elements, game elements from both the first two Bare Knuckle games. And Skyblaze mentioning that we think we might have the right music for the correct version of the mobile game. We'll find out soon when we get to that music break. But yeah, so it pulls a lot of sort of elements from both Bare Knuckle 1 and 2, or Streets of Rage 1 and 2, with the levels being from the first game, but the HUD actually coming from the second game. And we do actually get a nice sort of combination of enemies that appear across both. When it comes to the actual combat, obviously you've got your standard punches and jumps. The specials are those of the first game, where you end up summoning... Unfortunately, I don't think he has a name. I think in the manga he might have a name. But it's one of Axel's and Blaze's and Adam's police buddies who decides to help the guys out turns up with his police car and launches something into the sky that then obviously falls down in the area that you're in and attacks all the enemies around you. But as mentioned, Adam does actually have a part in this, so there is actually a power-up that you can get that lets Adam join and fight with you for a while. So obviously it is going to be a one-player game that you're playing, but you can get Adam to pop in as a CPU player to help rough a few guys up for a short period. Along with obviously a number of enemies coming from both games, we actually get an exclusive one. So this game actually has an exclusive new boss called Harakiri. And it's I don't quite understand the idea behind this one, I will admit. So, answers on a postcard, people, on this one. So Harakiri appears to be an overweight middle-aged man. He is wearing what I feel is frankly a bizarre combination of military trousers and boots to match. But his top half is covered with samurai armor. So he's got the whole sort of proper helmet and body armor just covering his head and torso. So as I say, bit of a weird combo there. Not quite sure exactly what they were thinking with that one. The actual visuals in terms of the graphics itself have all actually been redrawn, at least based around the Streets of Rage 2 or Bare Knuckle 2 sprite design. So obviously a lot of the designs you see for various characters are all within that sort of shape. So having a quick nosy over back at the chat, Electro Bigelow apparently has been recently seeing a rather silly 1984 action movie that starred Sega Sanshiro. Oh, hell yeah! Called Ghost Warrior or Sword Kill. Okay, well I will have to make a note of that for watching later. That does sound like fun. See. No, there's a bit of a spoiler there. I'm not going to click on that. But I'm going to presume it's very, very of its time from the sounds of other bits that I can see that have been posted. So yeah, I'll probably have a nosy at that. That looks interesting. The other thing that, as I mentioned, is a bit of a cut down version in other ways. So along with just obviously having 2 fighters to choose from, you are unfortunately reduced to 7 stages out of 8 from the original. So the second stage of what you would normally come across had been removed, so you go straight from being on the streets itself to having a nice beach day at night. So there we are. So and obviously new mixes of the tracks for the soundtrack have also been included, which will hopefully be what we're hearing, but we'll find out soon enough. So first up we have Streets of Rage Bare Knuckle Mobile, Fighting in the Street. So keep an eye out for that one. Hopefully we can confirm if it's the right one or not, and we'll catch you for our last game selection. So see you in a bit. And we are back once again. So that was Streets of Rage 2 with Wave 131, or 131, however we like to pronounce it. And just before that we had Streets of Rage Bare Knuckle Mobile Fighting in the Streets, which admittedly pun not really intended on this one. It felt really punchy in comparison to the Wave 131. As Enya was pointing out, obviously launching that MIDI, absolutely. I just as a slight aside, I've been watching a playthrough of the remake or remaster of System Shock, but I remember watching somebody play through the original one, and the soundtrack on that, obviously for its time, was also very MIDI and had that same, like I say, sort of punchy feel to it, which I really enjoyed. So thoroughly enjoyed that track there. So you're looking at other ways to beat the heat as such. Obviously, if you have any further suggestions for doing so, please do pop them in the chat so I can make a shout out about them for those who are suffering. Yeah, obviously getting a crosswind in terms of opening a window on either side of the house, if you have the option of doing so. Sadly, where I live, I do not. All our windows are facing the same direction, so even if we open them all, we're kind of out of luck, unfortunately. So a fan in every room is how we're having to go for the time being. Our final game, or games in a sense, is Columns. Definitely a fan favourite of Skyblazers. They could play that probably for days. So this game actually has quite a few different versions which have appeared on various mobiles and different mobile platforms. The basic port you can get of the Mega Drive game is obviously going to be on there for a number of different titles. But then there's a bit of an interesting version I came across. So there's a version which came out for a PDA brand. So, I say brand. It came out for the Sony Clea PDA. Now this is a bit unique solely for the fact that it wasn't a sort of one that you could download or one that was bundled with the mobile or PDA in this case itself. No, it was one that actually it came with on a CD-ROM that was bundled with a add-on controller that you could get for the PDA. So this was called the Pega CG10 or PEGA-GC10, and it would actually clip to the front of that PDA itself, and there'd be like a little sort of connecting cable that dangles underneath that you can use to slot in the bottom and lets you sort of use that as your controller. And the CD-ROM itself, because obviously it's going to be used across a range of different Clea PDA models, actually came with 4 different variants that you could look to install. These include simply Japanese or English versions of the Columns game, but either in monochrome or colour, because a lot of the earlier ones... no, not the Pega Viper, not the Pega. There's a PEGA, like VEGA or Vega, but no, with a P. P for Papa. But yes, it either came in Japanese or English, and either in monochrome or colour. Dirty-minded people in this chat. The next one we have is Columns Duel, which I would have to personally admit, Skyblaze could probably tell me otherwise, but it's actually the first Columns game, at least that I've come across, that actually has a story, or at least a story mode to it. In this game, you're playing as a character called Sana, and she has aspirations to become a celebrity. While spouting out about wanting to become a celebrity, she discovers this interesting bracelet that when she pops on, magically teleports her into the past, at least for the first level as such, specifically to ancient Egypt, where she then encounters Cleopatra. Obviously, being in Japanese, I've not done much in terms of translation while we're looking at it. Oop, I'll quickly loop the talkbed. There we go. But ultimately, you're playing a game of columns, running through that, and then once you beat it, you can... I mean, yes, dirty-minded it is. I am not shocked. I am not surprised. I'm just pointing out and stating facts. So you know who you are, who I'm talking about. You don't need to out yourselves, but you know who you are. But yes, after managing to hopefully successfully beating each game of columns, Sana ends up moving to another point in time, another point in history, And from what we've been able to see from looking at gameplay footage of it, it seems to be for other notable female figures through history. Unfortunately, there was another one, but we forgot to put it in the notes, so unfortunately I can't tell you who that was. But I remember it being sort of somewhere in either Japanese or Chinese history, somebody who was very prominent within that time frame. And the last four couple of games that we have here are crossover titles. Now, they're a bit, I'm going to say odd, but that's because of what they are. So the first one we have is Kaito Reinya. I don't know how to pronounce it. Reinya. So Kaito Reinya in columns. Unfortunately, there's not much information I've been able to get off it apart from a very pixelated looking title screen. I know, it's columns feminist. I have no idea, but I'm all for it if it is. So long as it's actually, supportive feminism and not the other. But less politics on this show. More interesting games. But, while there wasn't much information itself, doing a little digging, which unfortunately wasn't very deep, sadly, what we can say is it's a game that is a crossover with an anime series called Phantom Thief Reina. And the gameplay, from what we can see from the few pixelated images that were there, doesn't really appear to be that much different from your standard game of columns, but obviously it's just got that addition of presumably the main character, Kaito, appearing in the game itself, likely sort of cheering you on as you successfully manage to complete the game. The other crossover that we have, I am going to have to hold my hands up and say it's a bit of a cheat, including it as such. So it's, I mean, there is, Puyo Puyo Tetris Columns SEGA, I don't know how. I would love to see it. I mean, admittedly, I would love to see more modern columns games, bring back a lot of, I know they're probably working on other titles, so that we obviously have Golden Axe, Streets of Rage again, there was Jet Set Radio and all that, but yes, having a Puyo Tetris Columns Uber crossover, go for it. Want to see it. But yes, the last game in this list, before I get too distracted, is two of these actually of what has been recommended by Pocket Alera. There is Puyo Puyo Columns. Now, sadly, don't get your hopes up. Now, I say this is a cheat. I say that because it's not actually a crossover. It's just unfortunately a compilation. So it's a game that happens to include ports of Puyo Puyo 4 and the original game of Columns. So obviously what you might expect when it comes to the gameplay, it's obviously what you'd expect to see in each respective game. So sadly, not much more interesting information out of it apart from that. So we will go through our last few songs for this segment and then move on to the chiptune corner. We'll have a look at who Skyblazers has managed to find to tantalise our ears with their fantastic music. So, we'll catch you in a second.
Rexy here. While I'm not diving into the wonderful world of Sega remixes, I like to look up and study lots of things about the world around us. That's why I'm glad to hear The Hidden Palace, hosted by Skyblaze, right here on Radio Sega.
And we're back once more. As you may have heard, that was Sonic Jump Blue Sky Zone, as requested by Green Viper. And just before that, we had Afterburner 2 Final Takeoff, requested by Electric Boogaloo. Just a small comment regarding Rexy there, obviously, in the little interlude. So we had Rexy likes to lock up remix artists. Why doesn't that just not stop Rex? Everybody else from making wonderful remixes? We'll just have all the Rexy remix all the time. I don't see a problem with that. So Chiptune Corner, before I get too carried away, because I've been trying to do this thing where I actually make the show last the full hour compared to what I do normally, which is have it run into half an hour, and then you guys have nothing until Gabby turns up. So Chiptune Corner. Dan Butler is the songwriter, producer, and keyboardist behind a music project known as Techno Mage. Not to be confused with the characters of the same title from Babylon 5. The music they produce can be best described as a mix of synthwave, chiptune, and VGM, with just a pitch of metal and orchestral music. So I will quickly, through Skyblaze's login details, just drop in the chat links to their various musical locations. So they both have a Bandcamp and their own website. So obviously you search up Techno Mage on Bandcamp, and the website is technomagemusic.com for this one. So the track we have coming up is called Fistbreaker. So we'll have a little listen to this one, and then we'll wrap up the show. So catch you in a bit. Now, I'll admit, I've not heard this track. Skyblaze obviously did and put this in. I had not heard this track. That was amazing. So I am probably going to be stealing that to put that on my musical device later, along with anything else on there. So yes, please do obviously give Techno Mage any support you guys can give. That'd be greatly appreciated. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Obviously, again, apologies that Skyblaze sadly could not be here to actually talk to you. Instead, obviously, have myself. I hope I've done a bang up job for you there. But yes, as always, while it is still horribly hot out there, please do take care. Try and stay cool, even though it's horribly boiling hot right now, at least for where I am. And yeah, using any electronic devices just makes this so much harder because of the amount of the heat that's kicking out. So, coming up next, we should have Gabby, internet connection issues notwithstanding, and SNS. And then tomorrow, obviously, please do tune in and listen to Rexy with Sega Mixer Drive. As always, if you are unsure about what we do have here on Radio Sega, please do check the website for our full schedule. So I have been Greyfore. This has been the Hidden Palace on here on Radio Sega. We've got one last track to go out on, which is linked to how we got started with this whole thing. So with Xenosaga, specifically this one is Xenosaga 3 Godsibb. So enjoy, take care, and good night.
Enjoyed the show? Check out the full Radio Sega live schedule at radiose.ga/shows. Radio Sega, playing the best Sega music 24/7.